Hey there guys, Phoenix here. This is just a lab recap from some of the things that we did throughout the month of April, and undoubtedly we're going to forget a few things. We do a lot of things in a single month, but one of the first things that we did was prepped all of our garden spaces. So we have a couple of new agricultural beds actually that had to be built from the ground up. Some of them got built last fall and just had a bunch of manure placed in them. So we hauled a bunch of different types of sandy kind of soil over to them, mixed them in with all of the manure, added, all of our amendments, crab shell, oyster shell, gypsum, andesite, rock phosphate, different types of things like that, built up new beds. I've also ordered a bunch new microbes that I'm going to be testing in the gardens this year. So we have like 5 or 6 different types of microbes that we're going to be testing, and that's been really fun because, as everybody knows, I really kind of specialize in microbial farming and being able to ensure that there's a really amazing soil diversity spread between fungi, archaea, and bacteria. So we're going to be diversifying even further and seeing what the result is in the garden this year. I've also been installing, planning, designing, and installing drip line systems for the garden this year, which will give us a little bit more freedom to move around. We did everything by hand last year, which that was rewarding, and we got to check in on all the plants regularly. But for all of that, the downside was that we weren't able to step away even for a couple of days without training other people in how to take care of the plants and what to look for and how to water them properly so they didn't get powdery mildew and other things like that. So the drip line system is going to be a massive upgrade. It's also taking a lot of time up front to take care of. So some of those things were things that we worked on. In terms of intrinsic data field work, I'm only working with like 1 or 2 clients right now that are mostly friends, basically just friends and family that I'm still working on. But I undertook a Herculean task of programming in every single parasite known to man that can actually affect humans, as well as ones that affect cats and dogs and horses. So we have a tremendous amount of parasites loaded into the SE5 now in our custom programming, and that took a very long time. It was probably like 5 days of all day long, just spent copying, pasting, programming all of the entries in, so that took a long time. Jared was really busy with a lot of vitamin C production. He also filtered and finished up and bottled 5 new spagyric tinctures, and then we topped off Our Lady of Saturn spagyric tincture and licorice root spagyric tincture so that those didn't run out of stock. And the 5 that we finished are not the 5 that are releasing, but we did end up actually filtering earlier on in the month a couple of things that I started last April, April 1st through 11th. Actually, this time of year we just have a tremendous amount of blossoms. We have, Oregon grape blossoms, we have cherry blossoms, peach blossoms, and multiple different strains of those. We have plum blossoms, especially our local variety called Potawatomi plum. So we had all of those, also dandelion flowers from last year. And what's really cool is that we got a couple of really great pictures of the crystallizations that happened when we were macerating the tincture with the salts. Massive crystallization happened on pretty much all of the stone fruit. So that was cherries, Potawatomi plum, and it was either apricot or peach. I think it was crimson peach. And then also dandelion too. So at first I thought it was a stone fruit thing, that the stone fruit blossoms were actually, had some sort of chemical in them possibly that could have led towards that crystallization of the salts. But no, that's not it, because dandelion also happened. So that has led me down a path of trying to discover what the phytochemicals are inside of each of those blossoms individually, what made it into the tincture, and then what could possibly be crystallizing. So now I'm going to be taking those crystals and performing IDF analysis on them to find out what phytochemicals, if any, exist inside of those crystals, or possibly if it was just because of moisture content or whatever. But we tincture hundreds and hundreds of items of things every single year, and to be able to see crystals forming doesn't happen often. Warren of Evolved Alchemy had shown last year at some point that a hemp tincture that he had made produced some crystals, but nothing was as striated or as fine as the crystals that we have. I think Daniel Wiseman also showed that there were some crystals that had formed, and if I'm not mistaken, it wasn't with a tincture, it was just in crystallization pattern and taking a look at the actual crystallization rate. But James Collins had also showed a very similar thing either last year or maybe a couple of years ago. And so just working with a couple of different spagyrists and trying to produce these crystals under various environments has been really fun and fascinating. Still a bit of a conundrum. For all of the answers that we do have at present, there are many, many more questions that actually end up arising. So it's a whole new field of research that we've kind of opened up here. But the fact that starting last year, starting with these ones in April, that we had 4 of them begin to crystallize like that, all from the same month, leads me to believe that there might be something that could be an astronomical impact that caused this or otherwise. So there's a tremendous amount of research, tons of variables that need to be looked into, but we're on the scene and taking a look into that. We've also done several podcasts. So Sky of Philosophical Minds interviewed me, and we decided to swapcast it and to be able to release that episode on our Alchemiculture podcast as well. That's a really great episode. Sky always has some really great questions, and this time we were talking about the soul. He has a baby boy that's about to be born just about any minute now, actually, and just a couple of weeks away from the time when we recorded that episode. So he was interested in knowing, what does alchemy teach us, and alchemical theory and cosmology teach us about the nature of the soul and things like that. So that episode was really fun to be able to talk about some more of these psychological or soul-based concepts, because that's something that I kind of specialize in and that I don't get to talk about too many times, or that too many people don't interview me about these days. So that was really fun. We also released, I recorded, I'm not sure if it's released yet, but it will soon, a Microbial Farmer episode where I was talking about some of the different microbes that I've already experimented with in the past and have proven to be very effective, that people can incorporate into their agricultural pursuits this season. It's definitely not too late, regardless of your growing season, if you're in North America or really anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere, to incorporate these. We talk about various forms of archaea. We talk about, of course, incorporating spagyrizyme into the soil. We talk about multiple different types of fungi and other types of things as well that can be incorporated in order to create drought resistance and drought tolerance and temperature tolerance and many other different types of things there. So that was really fun. And then just yesterday, in fact, I interviewed Crow from crow777radio.com. That episode has not yet released, but it will release very soon. And that one is an absolutely fantastic interview. We got to talk a lot about what got him into astronomical observation using his telescope, and got to get more of a backstory about Crow and learn a little bit more about where he's coming from with some of his observations, some of his statements and things like that. So it was a really fun episode. Looking forward to that one releasing. I had a lot of fun doing it. So, and then we have more podcasts coming up here soon too. By the time that this video releases, I will have been interviewed by Lindsay Sharman of Rogue Waves. I'm not sure if I'm going to go on her Rogue Waves or her Rockfin tomorrow, but there's one of those that will be releasing. So that's going to be pretty cool. Also, we finished research and development, which has been months in the works, for a client named Dan Larson. I don't have the ability to tell you guys what I've been working on or anything else because of non-disclosure agreements, but all I can say is that the formulations that we're making are going to be very consciousness expanding, and he's got a new company that he's creating, and these things are going to rock. In fact, the formulation that we just got done doing for him, I can't even tell you the name of it right now, but the formulation that we just got done doing is actually one of my favorites in terms of taste and in terms of effects. It is very much so similar to the types of formulations that I made during my time in Niyama, but totally different herbs, totally different combinations, totally different effects, but still in the similar vein. So that was really fun to be able to take that, because I had such a fun time formulating those formulas during my time with Niyama. And so to be able to kind of take that experience and take it into new realms for new clients who are interested in starting their own businesses has been actually really fun and very rewarding. And yeah, I think that actually pretty much covers all of the things that I can think about. There are a few other things. We didn't start any new tinctures in the lab this month. We still have 31 from the month of March that are still macerating. And because we have so many of our flasks and jars already used up with that process, we're going to be filtering out some more of those and getting ready to make some more once those are filtered out and on, have salts added and on to the next phase. But until that happens, we've already got a full shelf over there and weren't able to really prioritize making anything else. We did get a bunch of new herbs though, especially a bunch of new Chinese herbs. Most of the apothecary is already finished. Like, we have all of the research done on all of the Chinese names of herbs that we already had in the apothecary that we didn't know their Chinese names for. And there's a lot of items of finished spagyric pharmacopoeia already that we have that cross-reference into the TCM apothecary and materia medica. So I think within the next couple of months, we should have somewhere around 100 different herbs available in the TCM materia medica section for TCM licensed practitioners who can custom formulate. And I think Noriana is also working on a custom formulation aspect of the website. And so that's going to be pretty cool. It's not released yet, and I don't have too many details about it, but that will be forthcoming, and you'll be able to see either a separate newsletter or something like that coming out here very soon. And aside from that, we have a couple of other video things that we're working on. We're working on a video of how to take spagyric tinctures so that people, because that's one of the questions we get asked all the time. So we just decided, let's go ahead and make a video about it and release that on our YouTube. So that will be releasing soon as well. And there's probably a few other projects, but nothing too pressing. As always, we've been busy. We started off this month with a great little vacation in Sedona. We left at the end of last month and started off this month with it. And so that was really great to finally get out of the house. It's like our first vacation well over a year. And yeah, it felt nice. So feeling rejuvenated, loving springtime, loving getting out and doing all of our agricultural pursuits and getting more interested in lab stuff. So thanks so much. That's a little report for the month of April 2021.